Yes, so the beauty of shoulders is I do them all the time, and I actually do them in my own practice because I know that it's a struggle. And it's really important to move into where we find struggle or tension or stress in our bodies to work through that. And maybe it's connected to emotional tension or stress. Maybe we're aware, maybe we're not aware, right? But it's there and we can't ignore it. So true healing is the willingness to venture into those spaces, right? We have to move into those spaces and find healing. All right, so let's take a nice big breath. And you might exhale through your mouth. Welcome yourself to take a few more cleansing breaths. So heavy, audible sigh. Feel the release from the back of your throat. Let's do that one more time. And then reaching the arms up. And just shine your palms forward. And as you shine your palms forward, lift from your scapula, lift from your shoulder blades. And the beauty of working the upper back and the back of the neck is that the diaphragm is physically attached to the rib cage. All right, so when we're working on the muscles of the back, we're getting an opportunity to work on opening our lungs and stimulating the respiratory processes. So feel that reach and feel that tug. And since our focus area today is upper back and shoulders, focus on the back of your lungs. Breathing into the back of your lungs. And notice how that broadens the shoulder blades themselves. And notice how physically possible it is to stimulate in the back of your lungs. Try again, one more. And then releasing the hands out. And we're going to turn the palms back so we get that rotation of the shoulder. Interlace your fingers and stretch your arms up towards the sky, right? So elevating off your back. And then take your chin down towards your collarbone so you feel that stretch of the trapezius muscles. And we want to feel the upper shoulders. And feel the squeeze of your shoulder blades inward now towards each other. So compressing towards the midline. And so whenever it feels like you need to create space between your shoulder blades, counter pose would be squeezing them inward to release any tension in the muscle tissue. So feel the humerus bone, the top of your shoulder, move down, and feel your scapula squeezing inward. And then elevate your head and let your hands release down towards the hips a little bit, keeping the interlacing your fingers. Now push your palms together. So we're going to keep that hold behind the back, but I want you to push your palms together. As you push your palms together, don't separate the palms. Keep the palms together and start to investigate, can you lift your shoulders again? Right? You're going to feel some limitation. For some people, there's more mobility, and they can just lift their shoulders up and still press the center. So see what's available for you. Different muscle groups work in different ways. Right? It's fascinating. Why? Why is that different? Just start with your hands together. What is tight? What is preventing you from opening your shoulders? Can you feel where the tension or stress is in the shoulder? Let's find some movement. Head up and back, And then head down, but keep it gentle. Don't strain the muscles of the neck. Keep it gentle. Beautiful. Keep your hands behind your back. Bring your head back to center. Now, open up your palms, but place your palms higher on your back, pushing your palms into your back, and then reaching back with your elbows like dragonfly wings. I know someone's smiling on that one, right? Like dragonfly wings. And then just start to move your shoulders forward and back. And you might find there's limited mobility there. Forward and back. What's possible? Elbows forward, elbows back. Notice where the tension or tightness is coming from. So if you're like me, you'll notice it comes from the pectoralis, major and minor, the pectoral muscles. Around the sternum and collarbone. And then squeeze your elbows back and start to elevate your lungs higher in the chest cavity. And feel the bottom of your sternum rise as you're breathing. And you should notice that as you're stimulating that area, maybe your elbows move back a little bit more. And if you're feeling tension or tightness in your shoulders while we're doing this, try and stay with it. This is for releasing those muscles. Maybe one more. And then release your hands. And again, I love that because it stretches the forearms too. Reach your hands forward and up and stretch from the left side body. And then stretch from the right side body. And then stretch from both sides. And bring your elbows down the sides. Take your hands out, keeping your elbows just a little bit below your rib cage. And the hands broadening, and then squeeze your shoulder blades together again. And we're gonna do a little modification. It's a wonderful practice for gentle yoga or yin yoga too. Right? We're working with the idea of a cat-cow. So as we squeeze back, we think of elevating the chin and lifting the heart. And then you're gonna reach your hands forward and round your spine. Right? Sometimes we do this from hands and knees. Bring your elbows back, squeeze those scapula together. Bend your elbows a little bit more. And then exhale, round and reach. Really round your spine. Let's do that 2 more times. Bending those elbows, opening up the hands a little bit. Good. And then round. 2 more times. Squeeze those elbows and scapula inward. And round your spine. Move into the upper back here. 1 more time. Squeeze and bend. Not just your low back. Move into your upper back. And around. And then reaching up. Then you should start to feel maybe a little fatigue in the shoulders, already working them hard. Reach up. And then releasing the arms down. And feel your shoulders relax away from your ears. And then we're going to emphasize that pushing down away from the ears. And then we're going to reach the shoulders as high as you can. That's it. And then push them down. Good. Reaching up. And pushing down. Good. Reaching just the right one up. And then push the right one way down. And reach the left one up. And push the left one way down. Good, one more time, both. And then shoulders down. Interlace your fingers and send your hands forward as you round your spine. And then reach your hands up to the sky and squeeze the center of your palms together. Good, let's open up the palms and reach the hands forward. And then squeeze the palms and reach up. Good, and then round, palms forward. And then squeeze and reach up. And then release your hands out. All right, let's do a little pranayama exercise. Interlace your fingers. As you open those palms, you're going to place your hands underneath your chin. Right? And just doing your best. As you exhale, you're going to just stay right here. As you inhale, you're going to take your head back. Try and squeeze your elbows all the way together. And then exhale, chin down, elbows back out. Inhale deeply through your nose now. And exhale. Good, try a few more times. Breathing in through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Maybe once more. And exhale. Good, let's release the hands down. Taking your left hand over, start to carry your right palm up. We're going to what we call an external rotation, but it feels like an internal rotation. Pinky moves inward, which is an external rotation of your shoulder. And then start to reach over to that left side. Keep your left glute and your right glute planted on the earth or the prop that you're sitting on. And then draw your rib cage in and move towards the back of the body as you round a little bit. So right side body is going to move forward just slightly, not too much. Start to feel the muscles, right, that wrap around the side body and that right scapula. So your right arm is reaching up to the sky on this one. Right? It's just a rotation of the upper back. Now, breathe into the back of your lung again. I want you to feel this in the back body. Nice big breath. Right? We're stretching the what we call intercostal muscles, the inside, the inner lining of the rib cage. And then release your right hand down and just move a little bit from side to side. So we want to release any tension along the spine here. And then we're just going to carry ourselves over to the right side, and we're going to do the exact same thing. As we reach up, we're going to find that it's called an external rotation, but pinky moves inward, and we reach over. And then draw your navel in so you really move into the side body. It's a lateral stretch first. Keep pressing over, root your sits bones. And then carry yourself a bit of a rotation. Left side moving towards the right side. And then focus. Back of your left lung. Really breathe into the back. So you can feel almost that right shoulder blade, right, is stationary as the left shoulder blade is drawing around the front of the body. Make sure the rotation is from the upper back. And it should be hard to breathe here. So stimulate. Breathe a little deeper. And then release. And come back to some movement again. Side to side. Great, all right. Let's bring ourselves back to center. Step the right foot to the earth, and as you step the right foot to the earth, we're gonna take an open twist. So as the right hand comes to the inside of the shin bone, we're actually rotating to our left side, and now you're gonna feel that your left shoulder blade is squeezing in towards the midline a little bit. And you can move your head up and down and explore the muscles along the spine if you like. So whenever we're hugging into the midline, it's a great opportunity to move your head, move your cervical spine, and sort of massage or thread the muscles, as they say. And then come back to center and move a little bit first. And then swap out your feet. And as you bring your left hand to the inside, and you could take a traditional grip here. That would be turning your palm and placing your palm under the center of your foot, if you like. As long as you're not feeling any stress or tension in your left shoulder. Rotating towards the right side, we want to feel that right shoulder blade now, squeezing in towards the midline a little bit. Right? And then maybe that movement of your head again. That's up to you. If you like the feeling of that shoulder blade moving in, you can wrap your right hand around to the inside of your left hip. Right? Just as long as you can still feel that shoulder blade getting some massage and some work. So if you have an internal rotation of your humerus bone where your shoulder automatically turns forward when you stand up straight, this might not be comfortable for you. You might feel too much stress or tension in that shoulder. All right, so decide what's appropriate here. Maybe reaching to the crease of the hip, maybe just resting that palm back. And maybe your head is from side to side this time. I think one of the best things that I ever decided to start doing was not sleep with a pillow. I don't think I've slept with a pillow under my head in, I don't even know, probably 20 years, maybe. And we do want a natural curvature to the cervical spine. But when we elevate our head, we're giving our upper back an opportunity to build a lot of muscle. And it makes it a lot harder for the spine to settle. So we want to start to settle and massage behind those lungs. Massage behind your ribcage. All right, let's release this pose. As you come back to center, we're just going to make our way to hands and knees. And we're going to just work on a few rounds of cat-cow. So just position your hands under your shoulders and start to round your spine. And we're just using the normal breath here. So it's an exhale as you round, and it's an inhale as you move forward. When you exhale as you round, and inhale as you move forward, you're working muscle tissue. Right? You're able to sink the belly and move into the low back and feel the shoulder blades. And as you round the spine, you're willing to move between the shoulder blades and really stretch that space, broadening the shoulders. Inhale and exhale round. And you've heard me talk about drawing the navel inward and upward to massage the organs. So we can reverse our breath here. So we'll come back to a neutral spine to truly massage the organs. So it's an exhale as you sink your belly. And then an inhale as you round your spine. And then forward. And inhale as you round your spine. Again. Forward. And inhale as you round. And what you're doing is you're drawing the body into a roundedness or a curvature, and then expanding your lungs and your diaphragm so everything gets squeezed because there's less space when you round your spine. Therefore, massaging the internal organs. Maybe one more time. And then once you come back to a neutral spine, sink down into your shoulders. It's kind of like a retraction, but not quite, because the shoulder joint isn't actually going into the body in any way, but it feels like a retraction. So sink down heavy in your shoulders, and then rise up out of your shoulders. So really press those palms and lift high, and then sink down into the shoulders, and rising up high. Once you sink down, I want you to really stretch the collarbone and the sternum. So almost a little bit of a back bend here, that you're drawing your sternum forward, and then pressing up, stretching towards the sky. Try that 2 more times. Sinking down, draw your collarbone forward, heads of your shoulders down a little bit, and then rising back up out of that. And your last round, sinking heavy into your shoulders and rising up and out. Make sure that your feet are the same distance as your knees, hip width, and then rise your heels up and stretch back for a short downward facing dog. And then move your head forward and back. So we want to feel that movement, again, of your cervical spine, back of your neck, and your thoracic, your mid-back. Starting there first. Keep your navel drawn in and up, and the levelness or tilt of your pelvis slightly forward. So we can focus just on the upper back. And then drop down to the knees, and we're going to take a half downward facing dog. So you're going to walk your hands forward, maybe to the front of your mat, and start to bow into that space. You want your hips and your knees in line with each other. And as you're sinking to the earth, sway your hips from side to side. Maybe elevate the tips of your fingers as you press your palms so you keep your arms really active. So generally, we want to keep a nice long length and neutral spine when we're in a half downward facing dog, but today we're going to look for that back bend. So press your palms and look forward a little bit and play with that. Just a little bit of leaning towards the earth here. And see if you can take 3 breaths, emphasizing that back bend without straining your neck. Don't forget, breathing into the lungs. And then press your palms, rise back up, move slowly. Walk your hands in, move slowly. And then just neutral spine for a moment. We're going to rise up out of the shoulders. So not necessarily rounding your spine, it's that lift from the shoulder. And then that sink into the shoulder, right? Lifting from the shoulder, and then sinking into the shoulder. And then just press yourself back for child's pose and walk your hands as far forward as you can. And sink heavy into your hips here. And as you're crawling your fingers forward, we're going to take our first upward facing dog. So press your palms. We're going to start with a roundedness to the spine. Shifting forward, once your quads begin to elongate, gazing outward, and then lower yourself to the earth. As you walk your hands in, we're going to take the elbows directly underneath the shoulders and start to sway a little bit from side to side here. Press your big toes to the earth. And feel your quads pressing to the earth as well. So we want to feel that movement in the SI joint, your sacroiliac joint. And we want to feel that movement of the lumbar spine, your low back. And the movement of your rib cage and your head and your neck. And then carefully lower, place your palms next to your rib cage, tuck your toes. We're going to take traditional downward facing dog. So as you tuck your toes, you're going to just rise up and reach back, and wherever you arrive, I want you to stay right there. And you can shift your weight from the left side to the right side, pushing forward with your palms, stretch and elongate through the side body and the spine. And once you find the center of that pose, draw your navel in and up. Keep the length of the spine, the crown is extending forward, the top of your head is extending forward. And then close in on your shoulders a little bit. So biceps and triceps are engaged muscularly, a little bend in your elbow here. We feel ourselves hugging in towards the shoulder joint. From there, push off of your feet and make your way to plank pose. Elevate your shins and your quads, rooting back into your heels. And then one more time, up and back for downward facing dog. And then forward. And then up and back for downward facing dog. And we're going to step forward with our right foot, dropping the left knee down. Let's take our hands up overhead. Interlace your fingers and stretch up to the sky. And then start to rotate your spine with your fingers interlaced. So we're reaching up, we're drawing out of the low back. And then start to bend your elbows, taking your left elbow to the outside of the right knee, lunging forward. Now scoop up your belly. As you press your palms, turn your spine a little bit more. If possible, you might use your right hand to push down into the crease of the hip and sink that side body a little bit deeper. And we're just breathing here. If you would like to tuck your left toes and elevate, think about elevating from the knee, not lifting from your right hip, just elevate from your knee. So keep yourself deep and low in this pose, and keep your breath moving and flowing. If your left knee is elevated, we're going to drop it back down to the earth and unwind your pose, taking your hands up. Take peace sign fingers of your right hand to your big toe. Shift forward, elevate your left heel, drop it to the mat. Trying to lean towards the right side, right? So leaning towards the right side, open up your shoulders, extending your left arm to the sky. Rooting through the outer edge of your left foot. Keep hold of your right big toe, and then push your right big toe forward, staying compressed in the crease of your right hip. And then take your left hand down and rotate to high lunge, bringing your hands together before your heart. From here, interlace your fingers and stretch up overhead. Start to sink a little deeper in your lunge. Roll your left heel back and then rotate your rib cage towards the right side. Bring your elbows down the sides and extend your arms out. And then sweeping the right hand down, forward and up. Rotate your spine, bring your elbows down over to the right side. Extending. Sweep your right hand down and reach up. One more time, rotate to the right side, bring those elbows down and extend. And then drop down to the left knee, sweeping your hands up to the sky. Bring your hands back to the earth. Let's step back for downward facing dog. And once you arrive, press those palms forward. Draw your navel in. Elevate from your floating ribs. Push your palms forward, extend the top of your head. And feel the weight shifting from the left palm to the right palm. Relax your jaw, relax your neck. And when you're ready, we're going to step forward with our left foot. Dropping the right knee down. Nice big inhale, reaching up overhead. Interlace your fingers, stretch your hands up overhead. And as you're reaching up, rotate your spine to your left side. Start to bend your elbows, taking the right elbow to the outside of your left knee. Lunging a little bit deeper. Draw up from the navel and the bottom of your belly. Rotate if you can. Either staying here in a low lunge or elevating the right knee. Again, remember, just elevate the knee and the shin. Stay deep into the left side lunge. Squeezing in to the interior of your left hip. Working on your lungs here. Breathing deeply. Stimulate your breath. And then dropping down the right knee if it's elevated. Come back to the center with your fingers interlaced. Reach up. Exhale. As your hands come down, we're taking peace sign fingers with our left hand to our left big toe. We elevate and drop down to the instep of the right foot. And then reach your right hand to the sky. Once you stack your shoulders, push off a little bit the left foot so it's not quite straight and it's not fully bent. The knee is just slightly behind your ankle. Just breathing there, closing into that left hip a little bit. Keep rotating the rib cage and spine upward, extending from the right shoulder. And then taking the right hand down, we're going to pivot on the right foot. Come back down to the right knee. Interlace your fingers, reach up. Stretching towards the sky. Exhale your hands inside the foot and step to the outside of your right hand with your right foot. Clasp your elbows now, hanging heavy, a little micro bend in your knees. You can exhale through your mouth and release your jaw and the eyes and the ears. And then try and stretch your forearms and your elbows towards the earth. And you might tuck your head right in between your arms. Again, there can be a little bit of a bend in your knees. Extending the elbows towards the earth. And then keeping that extension, start to rise up to the sky. Release your hands up. Your feet are still hip-width distance. Take your hands back. Interlace your fingers. Open up your shoulders. And then forward fold, taking your knuckles to the sky. Passively exhaling through your mouth. Almost feeling that the shoulders are heavy. And then pulling those shoulders away from your ears, extend your knuckles to the sky a little bit more. Breathing in this forward fold. And then release your hands. Sweep your hands forward and up. Take your hands together before your heart. Shift your weight over to your left foot. We're going to step back for high lunge on our left side. Once you arrive, reach your hands up overhead. Interlace your fingers. Rotate your rib cage over to the left side. Bring those elbows down the sides. Reaching the hands out. Left hand down, reaching forward and up. Rotate to the left side, reaching out. Left hand down, reaching forward and up. Good. Rotating left side, reaching out. Left hand forward and up. And then we'll take our vinyasa. Hands come down. Step back for plank pose, lower to the earth. Moving to upward facing dog, and then downward facing dog. And again, move your hips a little bit, shifting your weight from left palm to right palm. This time, keep your toes tucked. Think of a rounded spine, cat-like back. Push forward to a plank pose with your toes tucked. Move to upward facing dog. And from your hips first, micro bend your elbows and travel back to downward facing dog. Round your spine, push forward, plank-like pose, toes are still tucked. Gazing forward, bend your elbows, bend your knees, push back to downward facing dog. Again, round your spine, forward, plank-like pose. Bend your elbows, bend your knees, pushing hips up and back. One more time, rounding forward, plank-like pose. Bend your elbows, lift your hips, up and back. Let's drop down to the knees. Press back for child's pose. And from child's pose, upward facing dog. And then lower to the earth. And as you lower to the earth, we're going to look out to the right side, stretching the right hand out to the right side. As you're there, you're going to press your left palm next to your left side rib cage. Take your left foot over to the right side as you gaze to the left, setting your foot down. Maybe reaching to the sky with your left hand here. Continue to root into your right palm. And you could rest your head if you like, or keep it elevated. Another opportunity would be pulling your left knee towards your left hand and extending your left leg to the sky. And if your left leg is extended, please bend your knee, bring it back, roll to your belly, bringing your right hand back in. Push up and back for child's pose. Rounding your spine. It's a cat-like back as you move forward to upward facing dog. Tuck your toes, reaching back with your hips, downward facing dog. Let's stay for 5 full breaths here. So again, getting to know that space in the back of your lungs. Wonderful. Let's see if we can move forward to plank-like pose. Drop down to the knees, press back for child's pose. We're going to roll our spine forward to upward facing dog, and then lower to your belly. We're doing our left side now. Left leg is rooting to the earth. Left arm is reaching out. Straight from your shoulder, press your palm. Gazing to the right side, right hand is next to your rib cage. Right leg moves up. We bend the knee and set the foot down. Again, you can keep your head elevated here or rest your head. Reaching the right hand to the sky when you're ready. Keep rooting into your left palm. If you're comfortable, maybe adding the variation of the leg. Knee moves in towards your right hand, and then you extend to the sky. And that's up to you. Find your breath. Take hold of that left palm. Pressing firmly into the earth. Feel that stretch of your left shoulder. Should feel some nice compression in that left shoulder blade. So what do you need to do? Breathe into the back of your left lung. Breathe into the back of your left lung. And if your right leg is extended, please bend your knee first. And put your foot down, rolling back to your belly. Hands come back in. Press up and back for child's pose. Round your spine, travel forward for upward facing dog. Tuck your toes, lift up and back for downward facing dog. Step forward to the front of the mat. Take a halfway gaze once you arrive. Exhale, forward fold. Rising to standing, palms together, reach up. Bring your elbows down the sides. Sweep your palms up. Bring your elbows down the sides. Interlace your fingers. Send your hands all the way up to the sky. Bend your knees. As you travel forward, press your palms into the earth and round your shoulders. Round your shoulders, tuck your head. So investigate the broadening of the shoulder blades now, right? Our last pose, we felt that compression. Now opening up that space. And then gazing forward, release your hands. Once you press your fingertips into the earth, you're going to heel toe your feet all the way together. And we're going to bend our knees and take our knees out to the sides as the hands reach forward to the inside of the knees, reaching back into your hips and your heels. And then maybe gaze forward and see if you can have a seat here. And once you have a seat, you're going to extend your left leg out. Your right knee is hugged in. We're going to take the right foot a little bit wider. And we're going to lean over to the left side as we reach forward with the right hand. All right, we're going to turn our thumb down. Feel the shoulder rotating inward. All right, this is why we call it an internal rotation. The humerus is rotating inward. Reach over to the right side. Bend your elbow and take it to the back. Right, try and wrap around that shin bone. And then maybe reach over and clasp your hand with your left. If you can do that, shift your weight over to the right side and breathe, gazing forward. Nice big breaths. Potentially forward folding here. Right? Breathing in and out. And notice what the body is providing you. Maybe you're creating a resistance that's unnecessary and is keeping you from the opening. So surrender a little bit to the pose. Just breathing. And then inhale, release your bind, release your right leg, take your arms up, and slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, shift to your back. Take a full body stretch, arms and legs reaching. And then exhale, rooting into the low back and mid back. Inhale, big breath, reaching. Exhale, rooting into the back. One more time, inhale. And exhale, rooting into the back. And then step your feet to the earth. And once you step your feet to the earth, bring your big toes slightly inward. Take your hands down to the sides. Root down into the small of your back. Pressing into your feet, elevate your hips. Start to walk your shoulders inward. Maybe interlace your fingers. Walk your shoulders inward a little bit more. Elevate your chin, pressing into all four corners of your feet. Breathing deeply in and out. Take one more breath. Release your hands if they're interlaced. Come back down to your back. Cross your ankles as you pull your knees in. Roll along your spine, forward. We're going to take a vinyasa. Hands come down, step back for plank pose. From plank pose, lower to the earth. Move to upward facing dog. And then make your way to downward facing dog. And any movements that feel good. Maybe it's the head moving forward and back. Side to side, feeling the heaviness of your hips and the sway of your spine. Right, whatever feels good. And then gazing forward, we're going to walk our feet together. And you're going to bend your knees, but you're going to take your knees wide. Gazing forward, and then hop your feet right behind your hands. Have a seat. Stretching your right leg forward. Just giving your left knee a hug for a moment. All right, leaning over to the right side now. Taking the left hand forward towards your right leg. Turn your thumb down. Reaching over to the left as you gaze to the right. Try and take your armpit to the inside of your shin bone. Bend your elbow. Roll back into your left hip. And maybe clasp your hands here. Gazing forward first. And then exhale, slowly begin to forward fold. And then again, don't push too much. Surrendering to your pose. Surrendering to your pose. So let the focus be the shoulder and not the forward fold. The front of the shoulder, the back of the shoulder. And breathing into your lungs. Breathing into your low back as well. So this is a very passive approach to this pose today. Feeling and sensing the surrender of the body. And then carefully elevate your gaze. Release your bind. Reach your hands forward and up. Stretch your left leg out. Roll to your back. Take that full body stretch, walking those shoulders in more length on your mat. Pressing down into the low back. Breathing a few times like that. Inhale. And exhale, pressing along the spine. Inhale, and pressing along the spine. Bring your arms out to a T now. Palms facing up, and as you draw the knees in towards the belly, let them freely move from side to side. And then we're going to bring those knees in, elevate your hips, and move your hips over to the right corner of your mat. And once you do that, you're going to stretch your legs up to the sky. And then look over to the right side. We're going to turn our left palm down, so it's helping to support us here. As we take our feet over to the right side. Resting your feet there, maybe clasping the outside of your foot, maybe. Yeah. And then turn your gaze towards the sky. Let your left palm release back up once you arrive. And work on your upper back and the rotation of your spine. Work on breathing wherever you feel tension or tightness. Try and take 3 more full breaths. Our release is gazing to the right, bending your knees, rolling to your back, little movements from side to side. Reposition your shoulders back into the center of your mat. All right, wonderful. Palms are facing up first. Elevate your sacrum, elevate your hips, move your hips over to your left side. Stretch your legs to the sky. Gaze over to the right, turn your right palm down. We want to secure that palm. It's going to help us as we lean over to the left side. And as you lean over to the left side, maybe taking hold of your feet. And once you find any kind of hold, it might be your shin bones, you can turn your gaze back to the sky and let your right palm face upward. And again, really breathe into the back of your lungs. We want to feel that rotation and the opportunity to massage upper back and shoulders. The inner lining of the rib cage, remember where your diaphragm rests, right? It rests in the bottom of your belly and it's attached to the back of your rib cage. So releasing the mid-back and upper back today requires deep breathing. Right, stimulating that release from the inside out. And you can count down from here, 3 more breaths. And the release is gazing to your left side. Bend your knees. And bring your hips back to center. Let your palms face up. Set your feet down now and rock the knees from side to side. Stimulate the back of your nostrils and the center of your throat. Work on those deep internal rotations where the knee reaches inward. And we'll take our final vinyasa, knees in, cross your ankles, roll along your spine, move forward. Step back for plank pose first. From plank, shift forward and lower to the earth. Upward facing dog, lengthen your spine, elevate your shin bones. Elevate your hips up and back for downward facing dog. Feel the length, right? Press your palms forward, stretch your spine, tone your abdomen, contract your shoulders a little bit. Keep the extension of the crown of your head, pushing forward and reaching back with your heels. It's not a back bend. We're working on lengthening the spine. Take 3 more breaths. And then drop down to your knees. Let's rest back in child's pose for a few moments. Settling and slowing your breath. And rising up to Virasana, so you're just on your knees. Take your hands and reach to the sky. And then reaching your right palm back, pressing your fingertips in your palm, sort of bend your left elbow, and then reach your left arm to the sky, reaching back. And then bring your left arm down, and we're gonna press the left palm back, rest your fingers, bend your right elbow, and reach up to the sky. And now, as you take your right hand back, we're gonna point our fingers away from the spine this time. Rest your fingers, rest your palm. This time, as you bend your left elbow, you're going to elevate your hips as you reach to the sky. Elevate your hips. And then come back, dropping the hips down. Same thing, fingers are reaching back as you rest your fingers on the left side, the palm presses, and we reach up with the right hand to elevate your hips. And then release your right hand and walk our fingers forward. Press up and back for downward facing dog with your feet all the way together. Bend your knees out to the sides quite a bit. Look forward. Jump forward behind your hands. Have a seat. Make your way to your back. Take a full body stretch. Everything reaching out. And then deciding what final rest looks like for you today. So you might just separate your feet and let your arms rest out, breathing there. You might bring the bottom of your feet together for butterfly pose, breathing there. As you're arriving, move your head from side to side. And once your head comes back to center, hold a beginner's mind. Exhaling through the mouth. Just honoring the simplicity of this moment. And very slowly enter your breath more fully. And start to move your fingers and your head from side to side. If the bottom of your feet are together in butterfly, separate your toes and bring your knees back. If you have your legs extended, please step your feet to the earth. And begin to rock from side to side. And any additional movements that would feel good, so maybe pulling the knees in as you rock, or around in circles. And then releasing the knees to whichever side is suitable for you today. And making your way to some kind of seat. And as you enter a seated pose, maintain that idea of beginner's mind. And know that each and every moment the practice is beginning. They're not finished. Right here in this moment, the practice is beginning. Beginner's mind. Close your eyes. Sense that wonderful breath. And join your hands together before your heart, knowing intuition and wisdom guides you by your divine inherent nature. Right? Something beyond you, something beyond the thinking mind, right, supports you. And from that space, all things possible. I thank you for sharing.